So that said, we have the first game between Impunity and Imperium. Impunity will send our first representative, that is Manjuu46 up against Demente from Imperium. And this is a very exciting match because the first match sets the pace of the entire series. How we're gonna go through this series is very simply, we will play a total of 8 games today, and we will finish the other 8 games if there much amount of games to be covered tomorrow. It's also gonna be at about 8 PM sharp, thereabouts, so do not worry too much about it. That said, it is going to be Manjuu's Mage up against Demente's Druid. Of course, the layout here is that Manjuu is going to take the bottom half of this board, seeing how it's got slightly better connection, and Demente going to take the top half here with the Druid. So Mage against Druid, I don't really know which side have slight advantage just yet because I have not really seen Demente's Druid deck list yet. So that is something that you guys should take absolute note of. That said, this does not seem like it's a tempo early game spell shooting deck so far. There is the Archmage Antonidas in the hand of Manjuu, which is fantastic. Fantastic to have, but not so good in the early starting hand. So he doesn't really have a turn 2, turn 3 play. Of course, he can coin into something, and here comes the Ice Lance, but nope, doesn't really have the Frostball, not going to do much. Meanwhile, Demente's deck does look like it runs a Savage Roar Force of Nature combo. There's also Blood Mage Foul Nose, and some Swipe in hand, that's very good, but Swipe is good only against tempo deck, and Manjuu46 don't really have much tempo in his deck here. It's a little bit more, I would say more spell-like as for this deck here. Of course, Chewing Yeti is a pretty good play. He's really coining into that, and now we're looking at a 2/2 Mana Worm that probably is going to die to the 2/3. He can find some small little, you can say a little bit of a consolation prize in knowing that he can ping up the 2/3 in the next turn and make that into 2/1. At least the Harvest Golem value is not going to be too much of a problem to deal with. There is a nice current Bloodhoof in hand for Demente, and it does look pretty strong, but it's only turn 4 and he cannot really play that this turn. So effectively speaking, he needs to consider if he wants to swipe the 4/5, but even if he does that, it's not going to kill anything at all, and it's not going to have enough mana there, so there's not really a good play here for Demente. Of course, the best play here really is to just knock the 2/3 into the 2/2. The 4/5 virtually is going to be left alive unless you swipe the 4/5, run the 2/3 into the 4/1 after that, and probably, hopefully, find some value in that play. But I don't see much value in that kind of exchange there. So far so good. Everything looks pretty decent here for Impunity. Manjuu leading the fray here. And I hope the volume, everything is fine. If it's not, do say so on the stream chat. I am monitoring the chat as well, so at least I get first-hand info when something is not going is absolutely right. So that's it. Thank you for tuning in, guys, and we're now looking at Impunity versus Imperium. Of course, in case you just tune in, it's the first game only, no worries whatsoever. I do believe Demente is going to use a Hero Power knock to the face. He's also going to taunt up the 2/1, and in the meantime, killing off the 2/2 there. So this is gonna be a very easy default ping or even Arcane Missile into the hope of some RNG there. Okay, so it's gonna be a simple ping into the 2/1, running the 4/5 directly to the face. He is playing very aggressively. He does have one Fireball as well as one Ice Lance in the hand already here for Manjuu. All it takes is the Water Elemental to knock on the face of Malfurion for the Ice Lance to deal 4 damage. And that's it. Demente is having a little bit of a slow connection, in case you're wondering why the hand there is not really responding. It is responding, it's just very slow-mo. So that's it. Very easy swipe here to pick off the Chewing Yeti. Bot control firmly going towards Demente of Imperium right now. We do have a Mana Worm pickup as well. This is not the best starting hand for here for Manjuu, this Mage deck. I have faced up against this Mage deck on ladder before, and I don't like this, because it's, if I'm not wrong, it does run 2 Sorcerer's Apprentice, and you're looking at insane amount of fireballs being thrown out. You know, once Archmage Antonidas provides the fireballs, it's still somewhat a little bit of a dangerous deck, because Ice Lance, Ice Bolt, and whatsoever can be thrown out very easily, And in general, that is a bit of a bad situation for the Druid, seeing how Druid doesn't really have the ability to heal up. Unless, of course, Demente runs Healing Touch, which I'm not so sure if he runs it, seeing how this is not a Ram Druid. Only Ram Druid runs it to some extent. And here comes Current Blood, of course providing a lot more value here, being 4-5, 1.5 cards for the value of 1. So the value there is really very good. We have Arcane Intellect here. And Manjuu has to decide if drawing more cards right now is going to help him in his position off against Demente. He does not have a silence in the hand, so the 4-5 is going to be a huge problem to deal with. 4-6 can be, 3-6 can be played at the cost of 4. That's the Water Elemental. And I guess it's generally going to be a pretty tough spot for him to be in right now. 4-5, if he knocks on the 2-3, Current Bloodhoof is going to take care of the Chewing Yeti. No questions asked. His only bet here, I feel, is if he makes the Mana Worm big enough. Big enough in the to the extent that the 4-5 identifies the Mana Worm as a huge threat. And looking at the top deck of Demente, he does have swipe from the previous turn. So again, now because it's turn 7 for him next, I do believe he will have the ability to pick up Bloodmage Talnos and swipe to pick off the 4-5 very easily. So going for face here is not really going to benefit Manjuu to an extent. He does go for AI. He's gonna ping the face and directly goes for a very aggressive play into an all-in facial approach here. Now for Demente, this would mean that it's probably gonna be a Thalnos into a swipe plus 2-3 to knock off whatever remains of the Mana Worm, and 4-5 to knock on the face, providing an even firmer board control. But he does top deck a Defender of Argus, and the DOA can again be played here to provide Current Bloodhoof with a little bit of taunt here, as well as a bit of a buff to make it into a 5-6. The 5-6 can pick off the 4-5 very easily. I like that play a lot, seeing how both as well as the Sunfury Protector can pick off the opposing minions there. But I guess it's going to be a Bloodmage Talnos into a swipe here. And this is the first play I mentioned. Not much of anything to take away here from any side at all. It just means that Manjuu's greedy play from the previous turn may not necessarily pay off right now, and Demente down to 16 health here needs to be very careful. Now Manjuu can trade in his Antonidas over the next 2 or 3 turns with the wide amount of spells he has in hand to deal damage, as well as trade out for more Fireball, but he needs to at least retain some form of board control right now if he wants to go for that play. And seeing how he played very aggressively at the previous turn, I don't see how he has the ability to do that. So it's going to be a very simple Arcane Explosion and a 3-6 coming out of the field here. This is going to set up pretty good synergy and combo with the Ice Lands in hand. Now Demente is going to want a very lucky top deck. Let's just see what he gets here. It is going to be a... okay, looks very questionable. It is a Ancient of Lore. So the Ancient of Lore can draw 2 cards. Don't really like the fact that it can draw 2 cards, but I guess that's just about it. There's nothing much to say there. He plays the Chewing Yeti, taunts it up very nicely, and goes for face as well. So this taunt is effectively going to be a huge trouble for Manjuu to deal with. What he can do is he can Fireball the 5-6, but if he does that, the 5-5 still remains unchallenged. And he's down to just about 13 health. With the Savage Roar in hand, Demente is set to take away the first game here. What Manjuu can realistically do is he can kill both taunts. Make no mistake, no problem at all for him there. And I do believe that is the only way for him to stay in this game. However, he is going to lose both the Fireball as well as a potential Ice Lance if he wants to do that play. And well, all the greedy play that Manjuu did so far is not really paying off. If he plays a Drake here, he's probably done. Okay, picks up another Drake. So would have been a lot better if that's a a Frostbolt, but it's not. So now the 5-5 effectively is gonna be a game over here for Manjuu. Demente is gonna run a Savage Roar very quickly, and I guess that's gonna be game. That's 5-4 and a 2-3 plus 2 each on each of those. That's gonna be about 11, and the hero can also attack next turn. So yep, there we go. Savage Roar comes out here very nicely, and I do believe that that's gonna be game here for Manjuu. He doesn't really have a late game approach, but the plays are not exceptionally good in my opinion. He should have established a little bit more ball control by going for face there. Definitely didn't pay off for Manjuu at all. So that's it. That's gonna be the Mage that's completely addressed here from Impunity, and Imperium will be up by 1 game. So do note that sideboard action is 100% allowed here from both sides, and we're gonna have 5 minutes